I started having vivid dreams and what we now, what we call premonitions, which again, I didn't have this language at the time. Okay, I've got to figure out what this is. I don't know what all this is. And that kind of led me into a spiritual shop, amazing experience where I got to sit down with the manager of that shop and just kind of say, this is what's going on with me. I don't know what this is. And she was gracious enough to lend her time and kind of talk me through. Literally the next week, I started working there as an intuitive reader.
Welcome to the Awaken Magazine podcast, where influential conscious leaders come to share the real stories behind their spiritual journey and how they're helping others awaken to love. I'm your host, David Trotter, and today I'm excited to introduce you to Simone Jennings. She's a spiritual business and lifestyle coach who helps female lightworkers scale their business without burning out. Now, in this conversation, you're going to hear all about Simone's three pillars: mindset, skill set, and tool set, and how she utilizes these three pillars to help female entrepreneurs scale their spiritual business. We'll also dive deep into how to do this without burning out by honoring your natural energy cycles. And you'll also discover how to identify your unique energetic signature and weave it into every part of your brand to stand out from the crowd. One of the things that was so powerful about Simone's story was how she adopted her three kids while growing her spiritual business simultaneously. Now, if you are drawn to deep spiritual conversations that go beyond the surface, you are in the right place. And I want to encourage you to subscribe to the Awaken Magazine podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify. Click subscribe, leave a rating or a review. That's an easy way for you to help us spread the word about these incredible interviews that we release each and every week. And if you find this interview inspiring in any way, share it with a friend who would benefit as well. All right, let's dive into my conversation with Simone Jennings. Simone, it is great to see you. Thanks so much for taking time to hang with us today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, David. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I want to hear a little bit about your upbringing and your journey of awakening to consciousness, mindfulness, spirituality. Did you grow up with some sort of faith tradition in your home, or did that evolve for you a little later in life?
Sure. So honestly, I grew up, I would say like the foundation of my faith growing up was Christianity. Definitely came from your traditional, like going to church every Sunday. And I grew up kind of Methodist, but I was really lucky to have my mom who is very open minded. And so I always have remember like having books in the house around like astrology and all of that. I
Really?
had, yeah. So she was very open minded. I was very lucky again to like have friends of all different cultures, and so to have been kind of around all different type of cultures, and having again a mom that was really open minded, having books on different types of like astrology and what that meant. So I remember at a young age being very curious about astrology. It's not until recently when I was thinking about it, I was like, yeah, I guess I've always kind of been surrounded with different cultures and spirituality in a sense, but kind of grew up in the church. I feel like as far as my awakening is concerned, I always have had a bit of uh, I would say like maybe mediumship is what I would call it when I was younger. So
Really?
I remember my first experience being around the age of 6, and I called them shadow people. I would see shadow people when I was really young, and so that's kind of my entrance into like spirituality at a young age, not really understanding what I was seeing. And I remember like going to my mom and saying I would see, this shadow people, and I don't know what they are, and she just like, oh, honey, it's okay, just tell them to go away. Really it's okay. And I'm sure she thought at a young age, like, oh, she's just like dreaming, or there's, but I vividly remember, seeing shadow people, or what I would consider shadow people. So that's kind of my first like memory of something spiritual happening. And then as I grew up, I feel like it is like a lot of people do, we kind of push it down and suppress it. And so I don't have a lot of memories of seeing what I would consider shadow people. I remember, I was very sensitive, so I would feel things, but I don't
Mm.
remember, like, I feel like that clairvoyance piece must have been a little too scary for me at the time. And I just blocked that off. So yeah, growing up, I would feel things, but again, kind of pushing those kinds of things aside, rationalizing them. And I don't feel like I had another, or at least there's not a memory of having another, like bigger experience until I moved away from home and I went to college. And then that's kind of when the floodgates opened for me, as I would say. I started, it was probably about a year, honestly, into college, year and a half. I started having vivid dreams and what we now, what we call premonitions, which again, I didn't have this language at the time, but, and, things would happen and I would be like, oh my gosh, I had a vision of that before, or I remember dreaming about that. And so that clairvoyance piece started coming back in pretty heavy for me. And at the time, I was like, okay, I've got to figure out what this is. I don't know what all this is. And that kind of led me into a spiritual shop, a local spiritual shop in my area. It's not around any longer, but I was lucky and it was a pretty uh, amazing experience where I got to sit down with the manager of that shop and just kind of say, this is what's going on with me. I don't know what this is. And she was gracious enough to lend her time and kind of talk me through, some of the things I was experiencing. And it just hit home for me like, this is exactly what I'm feeling. This is exactly what I'm seeing. And she was like, well, you're at a point where you're probably developing your gift now and you're opening up. And so it, I wish there was like a more like interesting story of like how I like came into this, but literally the next week I started working there as a an intuitive reader.
No way.
Just the next week, I just had this very like amazing like 2-3 hour conversation, and then she invited me to come and work, and she asked me, "Are you looking for a job?" It's like, not really, not do like I don't know what I'm doing. But it was. I always say it's like the best experience. That was one of the best and most profound experiences for me because I started working there the very next week, but it allowed me the opportunity to really develop my gift hands on while working with people and
Mm.
being in a really safe environment to do so. And so, yeah, I started reading, I started coaching, I became a Reiki master and started integrating healing and energy. And so that started off my practitioner business and then opened up so many other opportunities to work in other wellness and holistic and spiritual centers along the way, and then eventually opened my own office and worked with clients in that way as well.
Amazing. So that started in your, I guess, early 20s then is when you
Hmm.
started working at that store as
Yes,
a
I
reader.
remember having my like 20. I think my 21st. I was like 20 probably, and I had like my 21st birthday where I like celebrated with my coworkers there. So yeah, yeah,
Amazing. Wow. And so talk to me through about your career path because I'm hearing that you were really functioning as a healer or as an intuitive, but then there was this interest or passion for marketing and business that entered in. How did that come
yeah.
into your life?
So remember, I said I was in college at the time, right? So I was studying graphic design at the time, and again, kind of natural fit where I'm already working as a practitioner, but then I'm having to do some internships and things like that in college. And so it was just a natural fit. Like they're like, well, why don't you just do that here? You're already here. It's just another thing. So I started doing some internships for some like a couple of holistic and wellness centers, including the one that I worked at the time. And then that led me to becoming their director of marketing. Kind of when you are in a creative field like graphic design, a lot of times it gets lumped in with marketing. And
Right.
so I really had to kind of learn marketing uh, while I'm on the job there too, because I was like, well, I'm a designer. I'm not really a marketer, but they need help with marketing. So I just, again, kind of thrown in there, hands on, like, a couple days a week, I'm doing my practitioner stuff. The other days a week, I'm doing my marketing stuff. And again, learning on the job, figuring it out, reading all the books I can read, taking all the courses I could take. And that kind of is my entrance into marketing. It was doing it from working at the centers I was working at.
Fascinating. And
Yeah.
so, as you continued forward in terms of life, how did you make your decisions with career? Because most people are trying to get out of marketing
Yeah.
and get into just, hey, I just want to do my spiritual thing. I just want to
Yeah.
serve clients. How did you interweave those two as you move forward?
Yeah. So I did initially kind of see them definitely as two different things for me, because I there was a love for I loved the psychology behind marketing, and really helping to solve problems. Again, we're doing that too in our healing work too. So it was just a lot of the similar things that I loved about doing the sessions that I was doing with my clients. I also, loved a lot of those same things in marketing, helping to solve problems, finding the area where we can bridge a gap, and finding solutions and really helping in that way. So, but I don't think I really saw them as like things to be integrated, other than, the centers that I'm working for are looking for ways to get a little bit more visible, so I
Mhm.
can kind of use what I've learned and what I know to help in that way. I think probably it was when I started really working more for myself. Well, let me back up. So there's definitely like I got opportunities too from just working in the centers, and then working alongside my colleagues who were like, "Well, I need a website, right?" Or "I need this," or "I'm struggling with social media." So there were opportunities to kind of say, "Well, I'm on the other side of this also. I'm working with clients, but I'm also on the other side, and I'm seeing what's working and what's not working from, what I've been doing with the centers, and I can kind of use that knowledge to help with my colleagues, get more visible and get more clients, and build their brand, right? So that really interests me. And then once I took my business and I opened up my own office and I was seeing clients in my own office, I had to use those same things, right, to build my own business. And I started also seeing clients that were, concerned about their business, and I was like, there's this like automatic streamlined opportunity here to help people from both sides of this, from my intuitive expressions and creativity, and the downloads that I'm getting from that, but then also from the other side of me just working on the back end of these businesses and helping them to really grow their businesses and understand, maybe some of the areas that they're kind of feeling like they're lacking in their business.
Mhm, mhm. So you started the Lightworking group,
Hmm.
and tell me about what the Lightworking group offers. Why did you start it? How do you serve clients?
Yeah. So the Lightworking group honestly came after having my own office and working with my clients. So I was at a point where my life was getting ready to change. And the Lightworking group was really a one on one type of model. I mean, I'm sorry, not like working group. My coaching business prior to was one on one, where I would meet clients locally in my office, and we would do healing and energy and readings and things of that nature. But I was getting ready to adopt my kids, and I knew at this point, like, I can't sustain that, right? That's not going to be sustainable for my new life. So I had to really decide, how my priorities were shifting. I had to decide, what am I going to do with this business that I have? I've had it for, at that point, probably over 10 years, 10, 11 years at that point. And I didn't know what I was going to do. So that gave me an opportunity to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, what do I really love? Right. And that is helping spiritual entrepreneurs. I had really, through the years figured out this is what I love. I love helping spiritual entrepreneurs, because there's a lot of that mindset stuff that we can work on. There's a lot of that building of the business that we can work on, and in a way that really honors them and their purpose and their passion. And that's what I wanted to do. But at the time, I wasn't focusing. I was kind of serving everyone, right? So I was like, okay, I don't have the capacity for that. So I'm going to focus on this particular audience. And this gives me the opportunity to blend those two skills together that I love, my marketing and also my healing and energy and intuitive work, and create something that honestly it can. can be more expansive, right? I can help more people because I can really build this empire online. And that allows me to expand past my local community. So
Mhm.
that's kind of how the Lightworking group was born. It was out of a necessity to, number one, shift based on what was getting ready to happen with my life. And
Mhm.
number two, really start honoring who I really felt like I was here to serve.
Mhm. One of the things that becomes super obvious in working with that particular audience,
Hmm.
spiritual entrepreneurs, is that there seems to be, in order to have integrity, an integration of the spirituality and the strategy. It's like if
Hmm.
you only have spirituality, you're like hoping and praying that clients are showing up,
That's
you know.
right.
And if you only have strategy, it's like, this feels devoid of heart. This is kind of weird,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yep.
how do you help people embody both the interior aspects, the
Hmm.
energetics of their spirituality, with the outward aspects, which is okay, got to have a branding, got to have landing page, got to have an email list, you know? How do you integrate the two?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think it all starts with your energetic cycles, right? Like really understanding how you as a person operate and how you work energetically. A lot of times we are focused when we're building a business on the hustle of everything. We're focused on, I got to have the brand, I got to have the social, I got to have this, and then in the midst of trying to build this business, we lose a lot of ourselves where we should really be building our business around what's sustainable for us, what we have the energetic capacity for and what our passion and purpose really is, and not get lost in the hustle of like what we think we should do. And that, because that's naturally how burnout happens, right? That's how we get overwhelmed. We sometimes we lose the love for what we started for because again we've lost our passion. So I focus really on what are your energetic cycles, number one.
When you say energetic cycle, what does that mean?
So we have a natural energetic, all of us have a natural energetic cycle. So that is times when we're on and we are full of energy and we're ready to focus on things, and then times when we're off.
Hmm.
Like the world tells us 9 to 5, right? But that's not true for everyone. Like there are some people work in like 4 hour sprints, right?
Hmm.
And rest for 4 hours. So
Hmm.
understanding your personal energetic cycle, when you're on, when you're off,
So important. So
and
important, Simone. So
yeah,
important. Yes.
yeah.
For
And
me,
then,
6
yeah,
a.m., 6 a.m. to 3 p.m.
yes,
Like, I just know after 3 o'clock, anything I'm going to do, it better be kind of mindless work because my
that's right.
mind is like, "Woo," you know?
That's right.
Yeah. Got to know
And
your.
just understanding too, like what is worth what's worth my time and my energy? What do I want to put my energy into? And what are things that I'm doing because I feel like I should be doing them, not because they really align
Mm,
with who I am and what I want to do, right?
mhm,
So that's all part of your energetic makeup, your energetic cycle. So really that takes a lot of self-awareness, right? And a lot of people don't have that starting off. Again,
mhm,
we're just trying to do all the things that we know that we need to do. We got to get that website up, that branding up, we got to post everywhere, or we feel like we have to post everywhere. And that's the quickest way to burn yourself out. That's the quickest way to build a business that is not based on a foundation of success for you, right? Because it's not
mhm,
honoring your energetic cycle. It's not honoring the way that you should be building your business. It's
mhm,
following a blueprint that the world tells us that we should be, following.
mhm.
So
One of the questions I ask myself regularly is this sustainable? Right? I can do
yes.
this for a sprint.
Hmm.
I could probably work this hard for maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months.
Yeah.
Like I can work hard, hard, hard on a project for 3 months. But then, like
Yeah.
after that, like, is this actually sustainable?
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah.
Yeah. That's, I think that's one of the biggest things that I consider in any client I work with is like, what are the things that you're doing right now for your business, in your business, and are the things that you're doing really sustainable for the long term. Now,
Mhm.
there's some things that we plan just to be that sprint that you're talking about, right? We
Mhm.
plan that, and it's like, okay, good. I've done my 3 week sprint for this, and I had the energy capacity for that, and I'm good to go, and that's all I
Mhm.
needed to do. But if we're talking about we're setting a foundation for, let's just say, like your content creation takes a lot of energy out of people, right? So are you, and that's a long term thing. That's a long game. You're committed to that content creation as part of your
Forever.
marketing plan, right? Exactly. So are you doing things that are sustainable for you? Do they, we can get into this a little later, like around, what makes sense for you energetically, but like keeping up with that, you need to make sure that whatever plan you have in place honors the way that you like to create content.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I've been asking myself a lot recently, if I feel like something I have to do, but I don't want to do it.
Mhm.
I have part of my makeup is I'm high responsibility and I have a lot of grit. I have a lot of tenacity. So I do a lot of things that I don't want to do because frankly, Simone, in business, you do have to do a lot of things you
Mhm.
don't want to do.
Mhm.
But if there's a way that I could delegate that to a
Yep.
team member and or hire somebody at, something, okay, spending $100 a week on that, I don't really want to spend that $100, but boy, would that give me more energy, more life to do the things I do want to do. All of a
That's
sudden that
right.
$100 investment feels like, ah, that feels like
Yeah.
a big investment, or a big payoff for that.
Yes.
So, yeah, just so much. I've been my own boss, so to speak, since 2003. So that's, geez, 20, that's a long time, right?
Mhm.
And I'm still constantly asking myself these questions.
Yeah.
Is this sustainable? Should I be the one that's doing this? Because a lot of us who are entrepreneurs, we take on so much. Well, I could just do it. I could just do it. And especially, nobody's going to do it the way I want it to be done. So I might as well just do it
Yeah.
myself to begin with.
That's the biggest one of the biggest mindset things I feel like you have to overcome, myself included. I certainly had to go through that as well. As like, you know, s- especially when you're starting out, for you, sometimes things have to be good enough.
Oh,
Is
Simone, I
it
hate those two
worth
words.
I'm the same way because think about it. I went to college for graphic design, right? I am a perfectionist when it comes to how I want things to look and things like
Yep.
that. But I did,
Yep.
but again, when we're talking about honoring our energy and also scaling our business, that's not where I should be spending my time, right? So my purpose is to serve and to coach and to help people find their transformational impact
Hmm.
and really package that, right? So I can't be spending hours and hours in graphics as much as I love to do it. I
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
I can't do that. So I had to get to a point where in my mind, with my mindset that so and so can do this work and they will do a beautiful job. Is it exactly the way that I would want it? Probably not, but is it good enough and will people respond to it? Is it yes. And that's okay.
Yes.
But it is a
There's
mindset shift.
Yeah, it is. Speaking of mindset, that's one of the three pillars that you really focus on:
Mhm.
mindset, skill set, and
Yeah.
tool set. Mindset,
Yeah.
skill set, tool set. Why are those three pillars so important as you're starting or scaling a spiritual business?
Yeah, that's a good question. So this I came up with these pillars after many years of working with clients and seeing, hey, I actually have a system here that I'm realizing almost all of my offers in some way are at least either include all of these or one of these as like the main pillar, and no matter where people are at in business, right? So the mindset is really your foundation for clarity. It's your foundation for making sure that you know what you're doing, what you want to do, that you're very clear in your messaging around that, and that you have the resilience, right, to fight anything that comes your way. So it really, that's your like your hub for making sure that everything you do moving forward is aligned with what you want, and you're very clear on that. Sometimes we have things like trauma, right, and sometimes we have things that that need to be worked on so that we can get there. And so that all is all encompassing in the mindset portion of it, like making sure that we have that armor, um, and that we are have that open mindedness, and that we have worked on the things that we know have been blocks in our lives, so that we can move forward with intention. Right.
Mm.
Skill set is really knowing how to then apply those strengths that you've acquired in a way that solves real problems for people. So I work again with a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs. I work a lot with women who are like high functioning and really demanding roles. And that skill set portion is the basis for a lot of things as well, because you need to know like how can I uniquely solve this specific problem for this specific group of people? What are the skills that I have that help with that process? And then how am I packaging that in a way that is very clear, concise, easy for people to understand, and easy for people to know how I can help them and make an impact in their lives.
Mhm.
And then lastly is tool set, and that can be really just the back end systems of a lot of times that is the hardest one of the hardest things for people is like, yeah, I'm clear my mindset, I'm ready to go with that, I've got the skills and I know what I'm doing and how to message around that, but like how do I set all of this stuff up without losing my mind, losing the very mindset that I worked so hard to build up, right? um, so that is really like how can we simplify your back end systems so that again it's not becoming a chaos for you, it's not becoming another like barrier for you, but it's becoming something that actually helps to support you and delivering what you've created. So
Mhm.
yeah, so those are the three pillars, and it doesn't matter where you're at in business. I've seen we always kind of come back to one or more of those.
Mhm. Let's focus in on mindset for just a moment because I'm curious
Mhm.
about limiting beliefs, old
Mm,
stories that the spiritual
yeah,
entrepreneurs that you're working with. What are the most common limiting beliefs that you see people are
yeah.
struggling with?
Well, so imposter syndrome is a huge one. I
Mm.
think we all at some point have said to ourselves, like, who am I to be doing this? Or
Mhm.
I don't have enough experience in this. I need another course or another certification to show up at my best, right? So I think imposter syndrome is a huge one. Fear of visibility. Personally for me, this is one that I that I've gone through myself and I've had to work through. Really like hiding behind your business or my business in that case, and really being scared to be the face of the business. So I
What
think
is
fear.
the what is the
Mhm.
thought process that for you on that? And like what's going through your head in that? I'm curious.
Yeah. So for me, and a lot of people that I work with, it's like a judgment, a fear of being judged by others,
Okay,
right?
yes.
And for I can definitely go into detail more, personally about in school I just felt like I wasn't the smartest, and so I always
Mm,
had this thing in my head that I'm not smart enough to show up. I'm not going to
mm,
know what to say. I struggle even still with I'm not a fast thinker, so I
mm.
struggle sometimes even now with that. But I got to a point where I was like, you know what? If you're struggling with this, there are so many other people that are struggling with this.
Yeah, yeah,
And it
yeah.
doesn't make what you have any less valuable, right? It's probably more valuable because there's so many other people that are struggling with these kinds of thoughts
Mhm,
about themselves and fear that other people will judge them.
mhm.
So
That's so
show up
fascinating.
anyway.
I mean, there's a million things that people could be as you bring that, people could be thinking like, okay, I'm like you mentioned, like, okay, I'm not a fast enough thinker or I'm not articulate enough. I don't have enough information. I didn't even think about like, oh, people could judge me. I hadn't thought about that one. Another one is even your physical appearance. So many
Yeah.
people that I talk to, especially with a magazine, because we're like, okay, well, we need photos. Photos.
Yeah.
The
It's
whole
like, I
point of a
don't like
magazine is
this.
photos.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need photos. And
Yeah.
so many things that we can be wrestling with. I was just listening to, and whether people like him or not, he has huge impact, is Alex Hormozy,
Yeah.
the business, um, guru, so to speak.
Marketing.
And
Yeah.
he's
Hmm.
just saying that entrepreneurial endeavors are the greatest way to experience personal growth. like the
Yes.
greatest way because of
Yeah.
all of these issues that you're talking about, you
Yeah.
know?
It
So
throws you right in. You like entrepreneurship just throws you straight into it. And it can be a little nerve wracking. It can definitely mess with your nervous system a little bit, especially if you're someone who likes to stay behind the scenes a little bit. So I
mhm.
definitely think also fear of failure too, just worrying about, you know, am I going to be able to succeed at this? A lot of times there's a lot of people in getting into spiritual businesses may not even be fully like open with their friends and family yet about what they're doing out of
Yes, yes,
again a fear of judgment or
yes.
so it's just that's a big one. And then I think the last one I would say is scarcity, just not believing that there's enough opportunity available to work in this field,
Mhm.
and to share your transformational impact. Like, I'm there's 1,000 Reiki masters out there. Or like,
Mhm.
why would someone choose me? And there's not enough opportunity. I think that's just also just a limiting belief that a lot of people I've noticed with my clients have had to work through.
Yeah, yeah. I wanna go back to the limiting belief of kind of like scared to show my face,
Yeah.
so to speak, or
Hmm.
or to be the face with the place.
Yeah.
What's the downside if someone doesn't lean into, I guess, utilizing their face, utilizing
Yeah.
their physical presence? What's the downside?
Yeah. So, think about it this way. When you are in a spiritual holistic wellness business, this is all about connection, right? I am not probably going to randomly go to someone that I haven't looked up online, that I haven't seen, are they posting about what they do? And I want to understand like what their process is. Do I feel like I align with the way that they're doing their work or their story? I'm looking for some connection there, right?
Hmm.
So if I'm a practitioner and I'm hiding behind the name of my business and I'm not really showing why I got into this business to begin with, why it's so important to me, how I really help you beyond just like the practice itself, but the transformation that I provide, it's very difficult for people to find that connection with you, and it's harder, I feel, to really grow and scale your business when you're not allowing yourself to be visible with your story, with your
Mhm.
impact. Yeah.
One of the groups of individuals that you work with is high functioning,
Hmm.
very successful women
Yeah.
who are trying to navigate all the things in life. And one of the things that I think is so fascinating with women that are very high functioning, highly successful is this expectation of like, okay, you're going to be successful in business and or
Hmm.
career, and then simultaneously our culture has this huge expectation of having a huge responsibility in the home as well.
Yeah. Yep.
And so, how do you help these women navigate this desire to be successful, the ambition, with also even just regulating their nervous system to like
Yeah.
be present in all of these different ways? How do you help women with that?
Yeah. So I think that's exactly right. It's just like, first of all, we have to consider our nervous system, right? And we have to understand the why behind what we're doing. Why do we feel like we have to do everything? Like as you say, why do we feel like we have to hold all of these different, we have to juggle all of these different things, and we have to, solely be doing that? How can we slow down? How can we take care of ourselves a little bit more? How can we, again, honor our energy and create sustainable rhythms in our life? Yeah, yes, as women, we have a lot of things that we have to juggle. But again, we don't have to be doing it all. We, a lot of times, it's hard for women to ask for the help that they need. Um, a lot of times we are the ones that are providing the community and the support, but we have a hard time asking for that community and support in return, right? So
Mhm.
it's balancing the drive with some of the practices that really honor our capacity to restore our nervous system and our overall health. It is a kind of returning to yourself, and your like, what do I need at my core? What am I lacking right now that I need at my core? Understanding that, again, it takes a lot of self-awareness for that. And then rebuilding and restructuring parts of our lives, asking for the help that we need, and then restructuring. And it's okay to restructure. Change is hard for a lot of people. Um, but in order to make a change and again honor ourselves and our nervous system, it requires us to have a deep look at ourselves, have a deep look at why we operate the way that we do, and find solutions that help to again honor ourselves and our nervous system, and create some change.
Hmm. You mentioned this earlier. You mentioned that you went through a process of shifting your business when you were adopting your children.
Hmm.
Um, Take us through that for a moment. Like, how, as a mom with, I
Hmm.
think you said 3 kids,
Yeah.
how do you balance loving them, caring for them, being present for them, and also running, your business?
Yeah.
How do you do? And by the way, like, maybe even tell people your journey to becoming a mom. Very fascinating.
Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, I'll take you back to again when we were talking about me having my in-person one-on-one, model business, and then having to make that difficult decision, that ended up being, again, the best, one of the best decisions. But to honor, I knew that motherhood was going to be, difficult, especially in the, you know, the transition period of my kids. That that's not easy, and so I knew I had to make some shifts before I even became a mom, right? So, so I'll just, I guess I'll take you back to the decision to adopt, and then what that looked like. So I was just at a point in my life where I was ready to be a mom, and I'll joke about this all the time, but I went in thinking, oh, I'm just going to have one, and it'll be great, just me and my kiddo, right? And then I walked out with three, but what happened was,
As a single
yeah,
individual, just
yes,
to
as a
clarify.
single mom. Yeah,
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 thank you
yeah.
for clarifying that. Yeah, I was a single and, no support at the time, just me, but I knew I was ready to be a mom, and I was like, there's so many lives out there. There's so many young people that need a home. And I don't have to do it the traditional way. I can, give a child a home that needs a home. I was in a, great spot career-wise, and I was just ready to give. So, yeah, I went in knowing that I was going to adopt, and I was looking again to have one child, and then they were like, no, we don't have any single, but we've got a couple of like sibling groups, and I'm like, okay, I think I could do two. I could do two. And so then, 6 or 7 months into it, still no kids. And they're like, we've got five. I'm like, I absolutely can't do five. I don't think
Wow.
that's going to work for me. And then, but I said, if you find three, if you find three that you think really are a great fit for me, I'll consider. Now, I said this really thinking there's no way I'm going to do three. But they came back with sibling groups of three, and so there were a couple that were presented to me that I didn't think that I had the knowing their background. I just didn't have the capacity to really help in those situations. I felt like they probably needed a different home structure than what I had at the time. But then they presented me with my three, and it was an instant intuitive, these are my kids. I
Wow.
just knew. I didn't know anything about their background. I saw a picture, and I was like, yep, those are my three. And that, started my entrance into motherhood. And
How old were they at the time?
oh, okay. So I think my youngest was 4 at the time, and then my middle was 5, and my oldest was 9 at the time.
Mhm. And that was,
So
like 8 years
8
ago?
years ago,
Yeah.
yeah, about 8 years ago. So it's been quite the journey, and again, talking about, mixing or, combining, like, the work and the home life was very, again, it was very challenging at first, but I knew that I had to switch, kind of the model of business that I had, and still serve in the way that I love to serve, but really identifying who's my core audience that I really want to serve, that I feel like I can make the most impact for. Um, and then how can I build this business in a way that supports my ideal lifestyle and the lifestyle that I'm working to build. And that became the basis for the Lightworking group, right? Is really my life has to come first because now I've got these kiddos. So, how can I build this business in a way where I'm not burning myself out, where I'm still honoring and serving in the ways that I want to serve? And for me, that became building online. So, no longer kind of trading my time, but really now building resources and coaching and hybrid coaching programs and services online that could work around motherhood for me.
hmm One of the biggest challenges that I see in working with spiritual entrepreneurs myself is that they will, especially early on in the business, is they're following so many people on Instagram that
Mm,
are in the same category. Like you brought
yeah.
up Reiki Master, right? Okay, I'm following 100 Reiki Masters, or I'm following a bunch of mediums or psychics or people that are into somatic healing or coaching or whatever it might be. And of course, if you're following that many people and you're liking or commenting or looking, the algorithm is just flooding your feed with, well, how about some more? How about some more?
Yeah.
And there can be a tendency to then think, as you mentioned, I am never, ever going to stand out from the crowd. I mean, everybody's a Reiki master in the entire
Yeah.
world, Simone, when in
Yeah.
reality, they're not. I mean,
Yeah.
there's, the algorithm is just feeding that to you.
Yeah.
So it's in a self-perpetuating cycle that you're, getting yourself into. Um, how can I stand out from the crowd? Give me some advice. Now, let's set the mindset aside. Okay, we already dealt with that a little bit, but practically, what does it look like for you to help me brand myself in a unique way?
Yeah. So I actually want to take it back a second and I want to talk about, I want to, the first thing I would ask you is where do you feel like is the best place for you to show up online? So you might be looking at Instagram and thinking, oh my gosh, everyone's on Instagram and I need to be on Instagram and I need to be posting it. But is that the best place for you to show up online? You don't
What am
have to.
what are my other
Mhm.
options? I mean, everybody's on Instagram, Simone. That's the spot.
Yeah, everyone's on Instagram, but you don't have to be on Instagram if that's not. You have to consider, where's my audience spending time? That's number one, right?
Hmm.
But number two, how do I like to create content?
Mhm.
What if I'm not a video person, and let's just say it's not about mindset, right? It's just like video takes a lot of energy out of me. It might take someone like 30 seconds to create a video. For me, I'm spending 50 hours creating a video. It doesn't make sense for me business wise, right? But I love to write. So maybe Substack is your authority platform. That doesn't mean you don't do Instagram, but maybe Instagram is not a daily thing for you, right?
Mhm.
So you have to understand, how do you like to create content? Because if you like to create a specific type of content, it's likely that you're going to be more committed to creating it. If you're forcing yourself to show up on Instagram and do reels every day, and that's not honoring the way that you like to create content, you're likely not to commit to that long term, right? So branding is a lot about also committing. You can be successful on other platforms other than Instagram. You can choose your authority platform and make sure that whatever you're doing, it's connected to how you like to create content and something that you think that you can stay committed to. So that's what I would first say is like, let's look at all the options. There's so many different platforms to consider. Let's look at all our options and let's choose one or two platforms in the beginning that you feel like align with the way you're with your energy cycles and how you like to create content.
You're
And
using the
then
language authority platform. What does that mean to
mhm.
you?
Yeah, authority platform is like your main platform where you feel like I can show up as a leader. I can really offer something different and interesting. This is my main platform where I am going to show up as a leader and an authority.
Cool.
Yeah. So the second thing is really thinking about branding in a different way. So we're talking about standing out from the crowd, right? So I use the word energy a lot. I just actually, I'm in the process of completing an article around energetic branding, and really, energetic branding goes beyond traditional branding. When we think about traditional branding, that's the logos and your colors, your fonts, all of that stuff. Which great, we have to have all those things, but your unique energetic signature should be the foundation of your brand. So that's like, what does it feel like to be in relationship with my brand? What healing frequency does my business offer when people discover my content, when people connect with me or my team, when people experience my services? What do I want to leave people feeling? These are the most important things because this is what helps you create all the other stuff. But it also reminds you that no one, even though you're a Reiki master, one of millions, maybe trillions, I don't know, right? But you maybe you're a Reiki master, but no one does Reiki the way that you do Reiki. No one does Reiki for the same reasons that you do Reiki. No one's backstory of how they got into doing this and why they wanted to serve people in this way matches that for yours. Like
Mhm.
nobody's story is yours. The way that you transform and why you transform, that is your unique blueprint. That is how you stand out, is by being your authentic self and by sharing your unique story and energy, because no one's you. You are you. And that is how you stand out. So find the way that you like to create content, discover your authority platform, and then share in the ways that are completely aligned with your authentic self and your energy.
If I were to ask you, what is that
Mhm.
energetic imprint like that you are wanting to put out into the world when I'm engaging with Simone's content? What would that be?
Yeah, for me, more than anything, it's self empowerment. So, again, I deal with a lot of amazing people that lack a lot of the confidence to go to the next level.
Mhm.
So, I look at, like, we all need our skill set, we all need our tool set. But if, again, the mindset is the basis for everything, and it's already here within, but sometimes we need help bringing that out, bringing it to the surface, dealing with it, and regaining our self empowerment so that now we can go to the next level. And so I can, like, a great, example of this is when I first started the Lightworking group and I was building my website. It was very flowery. It looked like every other, spiritual healers or spiritual entrepreneurs website. It was very flowery. It had these, beautiful colors, but not necessarily me. They were, sandy, beach colors and blues and just very relaxing and calm. And that is great, but it wasn't unique to me, right? And a couple of years ago, it's been about probably about 2 years now, I finally decided, I'm like, I've got to do something with this brand. It's really beautiful, but it doesn't speak to the transformation that I really, provide and the impact that I provide. I need something a little bit more bold. And so I completely redesigned everything. And now we have a very like bold maroons and teals and golds, and just really about self empowerment, and really
Mm.
holds that energy for me and for my clients. And it's amazing when you make those small changes just by looking and saying, what's the transformational impact that I really provide, and what energetic frequency matches that. It's amazing when you kind of adjust all of those other things visually,
Mhm.
um, how you, like, who you call in, what kind of clients you call in.
Yeah, yeah. Beautiful. I'm curious about the shift between or moving from in person one
Mhm.
on one, healing, intuitive work. Maybe I'm doing some online, but it's a lot of one on one work.
Yeah.
Two, somehow scaling that to go beyond just working with individuals to either products or courses or groups.
Yeah.
What are the shifts that need to take place for someone to make that transition?
Yeah. So I'm going to go back to mindset because, again, I feel like it's the basis of everything. A lot of times when you are a service provider, you're used to trading your time for money, right? And I think the biggest shift that you have to have is understanding your transformation, and that is the value. It's not the amount of time that you're spending. The value is the transformation.
Hmm.
And so once you can kind of make that switch where my value is my time versus no, my transformation is my value, I think that opens the doors a lot to scaling in different ways that maybe you haven't thought of, right? So, that could look like a coach who's used to doing one-on-one sessions, but then has decided, you know what, I want to open to doing group programs or a hybrid program. A lot of times, even thinking about a mindset thing, it's like, well, it's going to be like less impactful if it's just a group program. Not necessarily, right? It depends on how you build your foundation for that. One of the biggest things that I've found in some of my group programs is that they're oftentimes more impactful because you're adding in a piece that wasn't there before, which is the community support
Hmm.
piece.
Yeah, yeah.
It is hard to go through shifts and to do it alone. It's hard to do it even if you have a great family and friend system. A lot of us don't have maybe friends or families that are really in the same industry that we're in, so that it's different. They don't understand exactly what we're doing, um, and so having that community piece and that support with people who are in the same boat as you,
Hmm.
working towards very similar things that you are, that makes all the difference. And adding on that piece is can be one of the most powerful things. Also, if we're thinking about hybrid, it doesn't mean that you don't do one-on-one sessions. It means maybe we're doing less of them so that our entire time is not filled up with one-on-one sessions. We have our community that helps with the supporting. We have our systems in place that helps with the learning aspect or some of your processes. And then you still have some of your one-on-one sessions with clients as well, just maybe not as many as you would normally have. So you
Hmm.
have other support pieces in there. So that's kind of what that could look like. Or, maybe we're talking about someone who wants to take their system and create more impact. And so maybe you've been doing coaching or maybe you've been doing healing sessions and you're like, I have a really great process or a really great system that's working for people. What else can I do with that? Like, that's all I've got. Well, think about products. Like, you could create an oracle deck or you could create a workbook. You can bottle up your system in different ways to help
Hmm.
beyond just your sessions, right? So you're adding
Hmm.
on another piece, another opportunity to share and serve um, in a bigger way, and you can scale in that way too. So I think scalable models really just allow you to like multiply the transformation that you provide with in ways you got to think about in ways that won't necessarily burn you out.
Hmm. Hmm. People are always looking at that tool set. How can I
Mhm.
utilize new online, resources, platforms, product, these different services? There's a million different, things out
Mhm.
there, from calendaring to social media posting to
Mhm.
now AI, huge.
Mhm.
And so, how do you feel about the use of different AI tools in the context of a spiritual business?
Yeah. So listen, like AI is here, right? It's not going anywhere. It's going to continue to evolve and be a part of our lives. So I think it's really important, whether no matter how you feel about AI, that understand you understand it and you take some time to learn about it and just become I wouldn't say ingrained in it, but become aware of like the capabilities and the usage of AI. I personally am an advocate for ethical AI. I think it has a beautiful it gives us a beautiful opportunity to do some things that in quicker time that we just like would take us so long to do for and not just a lot of people think of AI and they think, oh well, it's just like creating content. On a very surface level, basic level, you can do that with AI, but you can also do things like streamline your productivity. You can build apps. You can do lead generation with AI. Like there's so many other things other than content creation that you can use AI for. And I believe that that's just where our world is going. I believe that there's some beautiful ways that you can use AI for productivity and organization, content planning, again, lead generation that frees up your time on some of the repetitive and the busy work so that you can really focus on your zone of genius as a spiritual entrepreneur, and allow yourself to take some things off of your plate that would just likely be like bottlenecks or you know time sucks for you that maybe it's not the best use of your time. I don't think creating all of your content with AI is a great idea. I certainly don't use AI in that way, but I do believe that there are some awesome ways to use it. And if you can find ways to again help yourself hone your protect your energy a little bit more and use AI in the ways that feel right for you, that there's nothing wrong with that, and that is where our world is heading.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Talk to me about if someone is listening to our conversation, whether they're a spiritual entrepreneur or a highly successful woman, what are the ways that they can work with you? Is it one on one?
Yeah.
Is it online programs? How can
Yeah.
they take advantage of your wisdom and services?
Yeah. So I kind of consider myself having three buckets. So I do have coaching programs and I'd have a hybrid of them. So I normally open up a new one every 3 or so months. So every quarter. And my coaching programs are really where a lot of that strategy and spirituality kind of come together, working on the mindset pieces, working on some of that rebuilding pieces, working on burnout, things of that nature. So that's kind of where I focus a lot in my coaching programs. And it just depends. Sometimes they're one on one and sometimes they're group programs. It just depends on the actual program that I'm running. But that's coaching. And then I do have courses too. And that's a lot of times where some of that skill set piece is. So, talking like I have a course on messaging for spiritual entrepreneurs and how to really message around your transformational impact. So, we work a lot on our skill sets and that, and helping you to like build your brand, build your business, and hone those skills that really help you get that visibility that you're looking for. And then the last piece is services. So we do have some done for you services, done with you services, around branding, around marketing strategy, content creation. So lots of different services. It really just depends on where you're at in your business, and what you're ready for. But if you go to the lightworkinggroup.com, you can kind of digest the things that we do. And I always say, just set up an appointment. Let's talk through where you're at so that we can help you see what the next level could look like for you and how we can help you.
The lightworkinggroup.com. You also can help people create their own oracle card deck, affirmation
Yeah.
deck, tarot deck. Yeah, tell us about this part of your business is called Oracle Creators Agency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorites. It really combines my love of design and spirituality and oracle decks, and it really just came from me at a point needing to just like have that creative outlet again. I had myself gotten so ingrained in the business and all and great, and I was having fun with it, but I lost a lot of the creativity that was an original part of what I did. So I was like, you know what? I need to set aside some time, and I'm someone who needs accountability. So I said, my goal is going to be 7 Oracle decks in 7 months. And that was just a way for me to make sure that I focused on,
You personally created
yeah,
7
yeah,
Oracle decks in 7 months.
yes.
Are
That
all of them in print?
No, not all of them. In fact, some of them were just digital Oracle decks.
Okay.
But I didn't go into it with thinking like I'm gonna do anything necessarily with these. I just needed a reason. I'd always wanted to create Oracle decks, and I just needed a reason to like focus on my creativity again. So I was just doing it for fun, but I
Mm,
had to set a goal for my brain. Had to set a goal, and it was a very ambitious one. But it forced me to every night. I was like, my goal was one oracle card a day. I can do that. Like just
mm,
spend an hour, 2 hours every day, create one card. And so that allowed me my time and kind of forced me to make sure that I was spending time doing something creative that was going to fill my soul at the time, right? So yeah, I did. I met that goal. I designed 7 Oracle decks in 7 months. And so then I was thinking, what am I going to do with these now that I have these? What am I going to do? What am I going to do with them? So I actually created, at the time, I had a membership called the Digital Oracle Society. And so I released a new deck every single month with some tools around it to help spiritual practitioners, specifically intuitives and psychics, really be able to like do readings on Zoom, make that process easier. You know, sometimes we fumble with the cards and all of that when we're doing readings, but it I created it in a way that it was digital so that it was easier for them to do readings online.
mm,
And so that was really fun. But in that process, I learned that a lot of people like they wanted to create a deck, they didn't know how to. And I got a lot of questions on like how what's the process for this or how do you do this or I really want to create a deck but I don't know how. And I said, okay. So I was like, this is the purpose, right? So then that's kind of how the Creators Agency was built. It was like people are looking for resources on how can I create a deck. But I don't have the design skills for this. I don't know how to do all the printing stuff for this, and so I was able to create this agency where we kind of take it off your hands and we help you. So we meet with you, we help you understand, help us understand what your vision is, right? Like what is it that you really wanting to create? Again, what's that transformational impact? Is this something brand new, like a idea that you have and it's going to spark some other things, or is this something that we're basing off of what you already do and you want to package that in a new and exciting way and have another way to serve people or help people? So we go through that process, and then I'm lucky now that I have an awesome team that are illustrators that can help create the cards and do all of the stuff that you might not have the skills or the time to do, and we help you through that process step by step, making it a
wonderful.
real. Yeah.
Createyouracle.com,
Mhm.
createyouracle.com, and the lightworkinggroup.com. And of course, we'll put all the links to your social media in the show notes as well. Last question for you: spiritual entrepreneur, spiritual business owner, healer, teacher, coach. They're listening to our conversation and they're
Yeah.
going, okay, I feel kind of stuck in my business. I feel like I maybe I've lost a little bit of that initial creative energy that was
Yeah.
there. What encouragement would you give them today?
Yeah. I would say probably the best thing to do is go back to the reason why you started in the first place. There's always that initial spark in us. There's always that why, that impactful reason of why you started. Go back to that at the very basic level and really like hone in on that. And then look at your business and see, okay, how has my business transitioned or transformed from that very initial state of why I started, right? And is it still the way that I'm running my business, my offers, is it still in alignment with that core deep why? If it is, amazing. Maybe we have some system things that we need to look at and restructure, so that we can get you back into that creative space that you want to be in. Maybe there's some things that we can implement or we can move around, right? If it's not, then you have an opportunity to restructure your business. And I know that that's scary. We don't like to do that sometimes, but it's important to always go back to that why and let that be your measuring point and say, am I still in alignment with that why?
Mm.
And if I'm not, then maybe there's some changes that need to happen. They can be the slightest, smallest change, or it can be time for a bigger change. And either is okay. There's no way that you have to do business. There's no like model that you have to adhere to. This is your business. And it is there for you to serve in the ways that you feel make the biggest impact for yourself and for others. And so always allow yourself, and I think any healthy business should always like take some time, a couple times a year, looking back and saying, is this in alignment with my why? Is
Hmm.
this in alignment with the transformational impact that I want to spread out into the world? And just making sure that that's your measuring point for your success. Numbers are great, numbers are good, but your impact and your reason for showing up is the most important.
Hmm. Thank you, Simone. Thank you for sharing your story, your wisdom,
Oh,
your
thank you.
wonderful work in the world. Really appreciate it. It's great to be with you today.
Thank you so much, David. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Awaken Magazine podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and our other conversations, would you mind taking a moment to leave a 5-star review and maybe even a comment on Spotify or Apple Podcasts? That's one of the ways that you can give back to the show and help us reach more people. And of course, feel free to share the episode with a friend. And if you're not already on our email list, we send out an inspiring email every Monday morning full of articles and interviews. Just head on over to awakenedmagazine.com and click subscribe and join for free. Our hope is that all the resources we share will help our world continue awakening to love.